Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning into my presentation today. I will be talking about Serbian cuisine and the impact of religion and region. My name is Alexander Stevenson. Thank you again. So first we will start off looking at a map of Serbia as well as a brief history behind Serbia. When we look at the ancient roots, Serbia's history does date back to the Roman Empire with key settlements in modern-day Belgrade. Serbia did gain independence in the early 19th century and became a kingdom in the year 1882. It was shown that Serbia was involved in World War I and later became a merger with Yugoslavia, becoming a part of Yugoslavia, so it didn't have full independence yet. And finally, as we know, modern Serbia today was a result of the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 90s, and it actually remained a union with Montenegro until the year 2006. This is when Serbia fully became an independent country. So as we could see on the map, Serbia is pretty centrally located. It's not really near the coast or any like any beaches or anything like that. It's pretty just centralized land, very rural. So first we want to talk about religion. This is a very big factor in Serbian cuisine. So we start off with looking at Orthodox Christianity. This is for sure the dominant religion in Serbia. It does play a huge role in shaping their food traditions, such as fasting periods, as well as feast days. Some of the fasting rules included, which are followed by Serbian Orthodox Christians, require them to consume vegan meals, no meat, no dairy or eggs, on Wednesdays and Fridays as well as during long fasting periods like Great Lent, right before Easter, which is right before Easter. Common fasting foods include beans, fish, potatoes, pepper relish, and bread. Christmas and Easter influences. So for here we have some traditions like this bread. It's called sesnika. It's a bread that's hidden. It has a hidden coin inside. They partake in this during Christmas time. And Easter time, they dye eggs red and have designs on them. And they also eat lamb, and a sweet Easter bread as well. On this slide, we could see the sesnika on the left, which is the bread with the coin that's eaten around Christmas time. And on the right, we do have the red dyed eggs with the floral designs and the leaf designs, which is done around Easter time. These are two very important holidays for Orthodox Christians. So we'll take a further look into the holidays. The first one being Slava, which is known as a patron saint day. It's a unique Orthodox tradition where families celebrate their family's patron saint. This is done with special dishes like slava bread, cabbage rolls, roast lamb, and wheat dishes with nuts and honey. I have actually gone to a Slava celebration before, and the food is pretty good. Next up, we have Bela Nedelja and Poklade. It's a Serbian version of Carnival that is celebrated with rich, fatty foods such as crepes and donuts. This is celebrated right before Orthodox Lent fasting period begins, which was mentioned earlier. And lastly, we have Durdevdan, which is a major feast day with grilled lamb and seasonal greens. This is mainly surrounded around the celebration of spring, like spring coming. So here we could see this isn't the full meal for the Slava on the left, but it is, like the patronage that they pay to the patron saint. So this is like a common setup that they have. And then on the right, we do have the other holiday that was mentioned, the Bela Nedelja and Poklade, or Poklade. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but as mentioned, it's kind of like a festival. So they have, people dressing up, parading around streets and stuff. And yeah, that does mean like springtime is coming. So we take a look at regional differences of cuisine within Serbia. So first we'll look at North Serbia, also known as Vojvodina, which does have a very heavy Austro-Hungarian influence. Some staple dishes include goulash, which we could see on the right. It is a meat stew with paprika, izvarchi, which is pork cracklings, strudla, which is strudel with poppy seeds or walnuts, and I'm not really sure how to say that dish, but it is potato dumplings stuffed with plums. So as we could see here, it's just very heavy dairy-based dishes. That does, like I said, have a lot of Austro-Hungarian influence. So next up we have Central Serbia, also known as Sumadija, which is known as the heartland of traditional Serbian cuisine. Some staple dishes include roast lamb and pork, pasulj, which is a bean stew with smoked meat, ajvar, which is pictured on the right. It is a red pepper spread, which is commonly eaten during the fasting Lent periods because of their vegan diet, and pogača, which is a traditional bread that is consumed as well. So here we could see, known for, grilled meats, a lot of stew, and just overall hearty dishes for sure. And these regional differences are important because Serbia wasn't its own nation for a while, and history has just gone through the region. And as civilizations come and go, they leave behind a lot of cuisine, different cuisine options and styles, as well as like spices, all that stuff. So we'll take a look at some food etiquette and customs. First, starting off with hospitality. It's a very sacred term for this is gostoprimstvo. So pretty much guests are highly respected, and if you refuse food or drink, it is seen as impolite. Hosts often serve fruit brandy, which is known as rakija, and it's really a welcoming gesture towards the guests. And visitors are expected to eat a large amount of food, as it does act as an appreciation token towards the host's hard work. Lets them know, good job on the food. We appreciate, all the effort that you put into it. And by eating a lot, it just shows that, you're grateful. So next we'll have eating style and table manners. So Serbians do follow the continental dining style, which is pretty common, which is having the left fork your fork in the left hand and the knife in the right hand. It is very important to not leave food on the plate because it is seen as wasteful. It is not a good look if you leave scraps behind. And last but not least, we do have that the eldest and most respected person is served first. So it's either the eldest or the most respected. This is pretty common. We'll take another look at some etiquette and customs. So fasting and religious observances. This ties back into the impact of religion on Serbian cuisine. So as mentioned before, several Orthodox Christians, they do follow fasting rules, which do prevent them from eating meat on Wednesdays and Fridays, as well as before major holidays. During Slava, depending on the time of year, a host may prepare fasting or non-fasting meals just because Slava isn't a dedicated date. It's more dedicated to the family's patron saint. So depending on when that is, when they're supposed to honor them, that's when they have the Slava. So sometimes it can fall on a fasting period or a non-fasting period. So depending on that's what the host will cook. And lastly, we do have the symbolism of bread in Serbia. It is very sacred, and it must never be wasted. Sasnika, which is the bread that was mentioned earlier, the Christmas bread. You have to break it by hand and not with a knife, especially during Orthodox celebrations. And it is very common to kiss bread if it falls on the floor before putting it back on the table. That is just a custom that is done throughout Serbia. We'll take a look at some historical events. So the Ottoman Empire did occupy what is known as modern-day Serbia during the 15th all the way to the 19th century, which did leave a very heavy influence on Serbian cuisine. So it was under Ottoman rule for almost 500 years, which did introduce cevapi, which is pictured on the right. It is grilled minced meat sausages. Sarma, which is stuffed cabbage rolls with meat and rice, which we will see later on. This is eaten during Slava as well. Burek, which is savory pastry with meat and cheese filling. And baklava and Turkish coffee, again with that Turkish influence from the Ottoman Empire. And these food became staples in Serbian cuisine and remain so today. This, as like I said, it ties back into the region, and the civilizations that left their mark behind. That does have a direct impact on modern day Serbian cuisine. So we'll take a look as well at some past food cultures. So we'll look at seasonal eating and food preservation. Before, Serbians ate strictly seasonal foods due to limited refrigeration. They didn't have, many options back then. But today, they do have year-round access to imported food. Um, that did leave an impact on reduced reliance on home preservation, and this led to several fermentation techniques dying. Especially we see that amongst the younger population. We'll take a look at rural dairy culture. So before, rural households produced their own dairy products like homemade cheese, clotted cream, and fermented yogurt. When we look at today, it is very common to see supermarket dairy dominating the market, and factory-made cheese having replaced homemade versions in several urban areas. This is just more convenient. You don't have to make your own cheese, especially if you live in an urban area. You probably don't have the animals and all the tools and products to make your own cheese. It's easier to go to a supermarket. Lastly, we'll take a look at the flavor profile significance of Serbian cuisine. So we do see a lot of paprika and spices in the cuisine. So the impact that paprika has made is just a very signature spice, probably the most signature spice in this cuisine. It does add a lot of richness and warmth. Other common spices are garlic, black pepper, bay leaves, and caraway seeds. Some common dishes are sarma, which is right here on the right. It is the cabbage rolls that I was mentioning earlier. Polj and goulash, which goulash is the beef stew that was pictured earlier. And as mentioned before, with the region, the Ottoman Empire introduced spices and slow-cooked dishes, while Hungary's paprika culture influenced Serbian stews and meats. So Serbian cuisine is just a mix of a lot of different regions come together, or civilizations, leaving their mark behind, and is really shaped modern Serbian cuisine. It's pretty interesting to see the different combinations and all the different cultures come together to make Serbian cuisine, which I think is pretty cool, and makes the dishes look really really good. And here we just have our reference page done in APA format, but that will be all. Thank you for tuning in to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it and learned more about Serbian cuisine. Thank you.